slow.
Hey everybody, Tim Percy here. This part of the video series will be wiring up the two batteries in parallel and installing the marine switch into the center hatch bucket and how to wire that up. Here's some of the supplies for doing the wiring. I run two 9 amp hour batteries. I picked them up on Amazon. I think they're $40 for two. This is a 4-switch marine switch panel. Picked that off of Amazon. I think it's somewhere around $35. Of course, need some wire. Just red and black are probably all you'll pretty well need. Solder, a soldering gun, shrink tube. Depending on what wires I'm doing, I try to stay color coded as much as possible. I'll use that. If not, for everything else, I'll use the lined heat shrink tubes here. A couple sets of snips, razor, crimps. I like to try to keep things neat and tidy, so I like to wrap all my wiring in some shield and just to organize and keep it neat. Some zip ties, two-way flat connector. You can pick that up at any trailer supply place, or a lot of the hardware stores have them too. What else? The LEDs, that'll be a separate video with the rear light. And some female disconnects. Forgot one other thing. For the Hobie center hatch, the drop-in bucket. One of the first things I want to do is get the marine switch panel installed into the center hatch bucket. You don't want to put the switch panel on either one of the longer walls, because you'll have a difficult time dropping that in and out, and actually it'll probably be impossible to get it in and out that way. I like to install it on the ends. It's a little easier to drop it in this way. It's with this switch panel, it's pretty big anyways. It's going to be a bit of work getting it in and out of that way anyways, but I like to have the bucket so I can remove and have access to underneath there. So one of the first things we'll do is take our gasket, and we'll use that as the template to cut out our hole. So we'll just layer there. Use a permanent marker here. So that'll give us our cutout area. You'll probably cut this out with a utility knife. I happen to have some air tools and an air saw, so I'm going to try and run that through and see how well that goes. And try and spare you the noise. So that made quick work of it. So now we'll just take a file, clean up our edges. test fit, see how close we are. Okay, there we go. Seems to be working halfway decent. I'll throw a couple screws in it real quick just to hold it in place and see how well it fits, how we can get it in and out. So my fears have been realized is that this particular switch panel is too bulky to be able to install and drop the bucket in and out at all the time, so it'll have to be more of a, the bucket will have to stay in permanently, and we can put it in this way without being able to bring the bucket in and out. The other switch panel that I installed on my last PA, it's not as big and as bulky. It actually gives you 5 switches, but it only gives you one USB type outlet. Still a great switch panel, and I will probably order another one of those ones and install that. But I'll walk you through on this one. The way this switch panel is, there are 2 power wires. One feeds each, one for each of the 12 volt USB or the plug-in style, and then that each one of those feeds power to 2 switches each. So they'll be I'll just run the power wire from my battery directly to these 2 and wire them up. There's also a set of blue and yellow lights. These are the positive and negative for these got little lights in them that I guess at night time, if you want those the switches just to light up, you can do that. I won't be bothering installing those. It's just power drain that I don't need. And then each switch, of course, is already powered once you give power to these 2, and then you're negative. So I'm going to use one switch for my Lowrance unit, one switch for the LED lights underneath the mounting boards, one switch for my 360 Hobie Pro orb light, and then I will have another switch for the power pole micro anchor. I have the battery pack as well, but I like to still have the hardwire as well, just in case. Alright, so I decided to move this part of the operation inside. It's a little cold out in the garage right now, so I'll run you through how to wire 2 12 volt batteries in parallel. So these are 2 12 volt 9 amp hour batteries run in parallel. Theoretically should give you 18 amp hours of power. Here's the diagram on how to wire it. What you're going to need, a couple runs of wire, black and red, keep yourself organized. I use, as I said before, this 2-way flat connector. I use it simply to disconnect my batteries to my switches. When I get home, I disconnect, and then I just plug my charger right into the 2-way, and it charges the batteries. So I guess we'll get started with the negatives. Just simply strip a little bit off the ends. once we got our ends stripped, sort of twist these together. Should actually be using the larger size for these, but I didn't grab them, so we can work with this. A little crimp. Heat up our soldering iron. I solder everything. I don't leave it to chance that the crimping is going to hold and not loosen up over time. Grab my shrink tube. I like to cover up my connector completely with the shrink tube. Just gives it a little extra protection in case anything touches. Go on to the other connection. I'm going to use two shrink tubes here because one isn't this isn't big enough to get over top of the connector, and the other one's too big to really shrink down far enough on that. So make sure we're cold enough there. Okay, so our negative's gonna go negative to negative. And we have our two-way flat plug. The only thing you gotta watch is make sure you grab the right end for your charger. So make sure that your positive and your negatives match up with your charger. So if you got the wrong end, your negative and your positive will be reversed when you go to plug it into your charger. Should put your shrink tube on before you go try and solder things together. That's our negative complete. Now we'll move on to the positive. this battery, positive of this battery. And there you have it. Just plug. I use this other end. I run the positive and negative to the switch panel, and we'll feed off of that. But like I said, when I get home, I disconnect and then I just plug my charger into there, and it charges both batteries at the same time. Okay, so here's our 2 batteries installed with our wiring harness to wire them in parallel. So like I said, I'll use the plastic shield over top of this to make it a little neater. So right now we got this end, then we've got another connect, and we will run the positive and negative to the switch panel, and then feed off of that for each component. So there's the switch panel. As I said, unfortunately the bucket doesn't drop in as I'd hoped it would. So I got 2 things that we're going to do. We're either going to just pop the switch panel in and out and screw it in that way, and then the bucket will stay in permanently, or I've got some ideas to modify the bucket so it'll be go in and out. I've been talking with Martin at Hobie Pro and trying to see if I can get him to redesign the bucket and come out with a bucket that we can drop in and out easily, and maybe have an access for a switch panel already cut out for us. So it's just order the bucket, order the switch panel online, and away you go. But we'll see how that goes. So that will pretty well wrap up this segment of the series. The next segment we'll move on to wiring up all the components.